viewers, welcome back to our series of lectures on chemical bonding. Today we will continue our discussion on the concept of hybridization. We will build on that and then see that how do we use this concept to explain the observed molecular shapes or different kind of molecules there. The session is planned as follows, that is, to begin with we will briefly review the contents of previous sessions. Thereafter we will recall what we did in the previous session about the concept of hybridization. Having done that, we will bring in our discussion onto the hybridization schemes involving s and p orbitals. Then we will see that how do we use these schemes to explain the observed molecular shapes of different molecules. We will extend our arguments further and talk about the hybridization involving s, p and d orbitals, and towards the end we will sum up what we do in today's session. Let us see what we have done so far. What we have done so far is that we introduced the concept of chemical bonding with a historical account to begin with. We discussed the classical theories of chemical bonding and outlined their limitations. Having done that, we moved on further and explained VSEPR theory and used it to predict the geometry of different molecules. Thereafter, we gave qualitative and quantum mechanical explanation of valence bond theory, outlined the limitations of valence bond theory as well, because we know that valence bond theory is a good theory, it is a modern theory based on quantum mechanical description of atom, but it has certain limitations. Take care of one of the limitations, we introduced the concept of hybridization, and that is what we are going to build up today. Let us recall that according to valence bond theory, the valence atomic orbitals with unpaired electrons, they overlap, leading to an accumulation of electron density in the internuclear region. So, that is the way we have described the formation of a bond according to valence bond theory. This theory works very well for diatomic molecules. However, for polyatomic molecules, it does not provide information about the geometry of the molecules. We saw that in the previous session, that is, in order to explain the bonding or the shape or the geometry of the molecule beryllium dichloride, we had to bring in the concept of hybridization there. So, in such cases we need to invoke hybridization to account for the geometry. Now, in hybridization, some of the valence orbitals of central atom combine to give an equal number of hybrid orbitals, which then take part in the bond formation, and we get the molecule of the desired geometry there. Okay. So, with that kind of a recall of what we did in the previous session, let us continue further and talk about the hybridization involving s and p orbitals and the corresponding molecular shapes over there. As regards hybridization involving s and p orbitals, we find that the s and p orbitals get hybridized when we talk about the molecules formed by the elements of second period, because those are the elements which show the hybridizations of s and p orbitals over there. And there are typically three types of hybridizations we come across. One is sp3, other is sp2, and yet another is sp hybridization. And out of these three, we used the hybridization scheme called as sp hybridization to explain bonding and shape of beryllium dichloride molecule in the previous session by invoking what is called as sp hybridization, and that is a kind of a representation you will be able to recall. That is, we have got a beryllium atom here, which there is a sp hybridization taking place. So, these sp hybrid orbitals of beryllium, they overlap with the p orbitals of the chlorine atoms there to give the desired shape of the molecule there. Okay, so that is what we have done so far. Now, let us move further and talk about sp2 hybridization, and typical example happens to be say BF3. Let us understand how do we talk about this hybridization. We begin by seeing that what is the electronic configuration of boron atom, and we know that happens to be 1s2, 2s2, 2p1, which can be represented as helium core over there, which basically is equivalent of this 1s2 here, and then this 2s2, 2p1 is shown diagrammatically as follows over there. That is, we got 2 electrons in the 2s orbital, 1 in the 2p orbital there. With this kind of an electronic configuration, we find that there is only one unpaired electron. With this one unpaired electron, boron can form only one bond, but we know that for this molecule to be formed, we need at least 3 bond formation to be there. So, by this electronic configuration, we expect only a single bond to be formed. In order to get over this, as we discussed in the previous session, that we propose that one of the 2s electrons get promoted to 2p orbital over there like this. That is, we have this configuration to begin with. So, this one of these electrons over there gets promoted to 2p orbital over there, and what you have got the electron configuration in the so called promoted state as follows there. Now, with this configuration we have got 1, 2, 3. So, there are 3 unpaired electrons. We expect 3 bonds to be formed. So, that issue of number of bonds is taken care of. But these happen to be in different kinds of orbitals there. One of them happens to be in 2s orbital, whereas the 2 are in the p orbitals over there. So, thereby what will happen is the bonds will be 3, no issues on that, but they will be of different types there. But experimentally we know that BF3 has got 3 bonds which all of them are equivalent. To get over this problem, to accommodate this experimental fact there, what do we say is, we say that this s orbital and 2 of the p orbitals there, they hybridize to give 3 equivalent orbitals called as sp2 hybrid orbitals. That's how do we show them. This s orbital here and these 2 p orbitals there with unpaired electrons, these 3 orbitals hybridize, that is they mix together to give rise to 3 new hybrid orbitals there, which are called as sp2 hybrid orbitals there. So, this was my s orbital there and this p which are shown as dotted lines here. So, they are no more there. So, they combine together to give you orbitals which are hybrid orbitals there, and they have got energies in between that of the s orbital and that of the p orbital there. Now, that is how do we diagrammatically represent that. That is, this is a s orbital here, that is a 2s here, and these are 2 of the 2p orbitals there. So, these 3 merge together, they combine together, they hybridize to give rise to these 3 orbitals there. They are called as sp2 hybrid orbitals there. And if you put them together, we find that the sp2 hybrid orbitals are directed towards the corners of an equilateral triangle. That's how do we show that. That is, if you put them all together there, so we find that they are directed like this. Now, that is, you have got a boron atom here. On the boron, there are 3 sp2 hybrid orbitals which are directed as shown over here. If these are so, the bond angle, the angle between these hybrid orbitals happens to be 120 degrees. These sp2 hybrid orbitals, they contain an unpaired electron each, and we also have got one p orbital. You remember that when we talked about hybridization, one p orbital was left out there. So, that happens to be lying perpendicular to these 3 hybrid orbitals over there. So, that is the situation vis-a-vis the boron atom there. Then what happens is, these hybrid orbitals then overlap with the p orbitals of fluorine atoms to give the desired molecule of BF3. You can show it as follows. That is, we got a boron atom, these 3 are the sp2 hybrid orbitals there, and they overlap respectively with the 2p orbitals of the fluorine atom there, and what you get is the molecule of BF3. And if you look at, they were directed towards the corners of equilateral triangle, we find that this angle, that is a bond angle, happens to be of 120 degrees there. A similar structure is shown by aluminum triiodide, that is, you have got again a trigonal kind of a structure there. Similar kind of hybridization scheme is involved in that. Let us move further and talk about another scheme of hybridization called as sp3 hybridization, and typical example happens to be methane there. In case of methane, so what do we do? I am sure that by now you have understood that how do we go about it. That is, we start by talking about the electronic configuration of the atom, the central atom here. In this case, it happens to be carbon. The electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, p2. We represent it like this. This is the helium core there, and this is 2s2, and then this is 2p2. So, these are the valence electrons which we are interested in. Since there are only 2 unpaired electrons, we expect only 2 bonds to be formed by carbon, but we know that in case of methane, there are 4 bonds formed. Again, we use the same logic and suggest that one of the 2s electron gets promoted to 2p orbital there. That's how do we show that. That is, this electron from 2s goes to 2p, and what we have got now is there are 4 unpaired electrons, but they are in different types of orbitals. So, it happened to be in s and p orbitals over there. So, if they form bonds with hydrogen, their bonds will be of different types, which they are not. In order to get over this problem, this s and the 3 of p orbitals, they hybridize to give rise to 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals. That how do we show that? That is, s orbital here, and these 3 p orbitals, they hybridize to give rise to 4 hybrid orbitals, they are designated as sp3 hybrid orbitals there. Now, that is how do we show them pictorially, that this is the s orbital there, 2s, and these 3 are the p orbitals, they mix together to give rise to 4 orbitals as shown over here. They are called as sp3 hybrid orbitals there. Now, these sp3 hybrid orbitals are directed towards the corners of a regular tetrahedron. That is how do we show that this is a tetrahedron. So, we see that these 4 orbitals are directed towards the corners of these, and each one of them contains an unpaired electron. 4 hybrid orbitals directed towards the corners of a regular tetrahedron and containing an unpaired electron each, they then overlap with the s orbitals of hydrogen atom to give rise to the CH4 molecule. So, that means, this is my 4 hybrid orbitals on the carbon, and we have got one s orbital of hydrogen atoms which are overlapping with them, and what we get is the molecule of CH4, that is which is a regular tetrahedron, and it has a bond angle of 109.5 degrees, which is experimentally verifiable there. So, we have seen that there are 3 kinds of scheme we have proposed so far: sp, sp2 and sp3. Let us take yet another example of sp3 hybridization, say molecule of ammonia. We go the same process all over again. To understand this hydrogen scheme there, we say in case of this nitrogen, the electronic configuration happens to be 1s2, 2s2, 2p3. That is how do we show that over here, and we find that there are 3 unpaired electrons. So, can form the 3 desired bonds. So, there is no problem about the number of bonds. We do not need to do any promotion in this case. And then, but since these 3 p orbitals which are available for the bond formation, they are at right angles to each other, px, py, pz, which are mutually orthogonal to each other. So, as they are shown over here. Now, if these form bonds with the hydrogen atom to give ammonia molecule, then this ammonia molecule will be having a bond angle of 90 degrees each, which they are not. Experimentally observed value is 107 degrees. So, to explain that, what do? We propose a hybridization scheme there, that is this s orbital and the p orbitals, they hybridize as before to give 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals there. And these hybrid orbitals, now we find that these 3 of them are containing an unpaired electron, and one of them occupies has an unpaired a pair of electrons over there. That is, one of the orbitals contains a lone pair, while the other 3 are singly occupied there. These hybrid orbitals overlap, the 3 of them with unpaired electron, they overlap with the s orbitals of hydrogen atom to give the ammonia molecule there. So, we find that these 3 orbitals there which had a single pair single electron, so they form bonds with hydrogen atom, and the 4th orbital contains a lone pair of electrons over there. So, as a consequence, what happens is we have got the following kind of a shape for ammonia molecule. This is a trigonal pyramidal, that means these 3 hydrogen atoms form a triangle, and this nitrogen is on the top of the triangle, and that is a kind of a shape what we observe experimentally also for the ammonia molecule, and we find that the bond angle happens to be 107 degrees, which is very close to 109 degrees expected from 109.5 degrees expected from sp3 hybridization, and this slight variation is because of occupancy of one of the orbitals by hybrid orbitals by a lone pair there. Let us move further. We can have another example here, say of pf3. Here also we can invoke a similar hybridization scheme, that is of sp3 hybridization, and explain the shape of pf3 molecule there. Let us move further. Let us take up another example of sp3 hybridization, and the example happens to be, say, ammonium ion. Ammonium ion we can visualize as follows. Formation of ammonium ion can be seen as a reaction between the ammonia molecule, and we have seen how to describe the shape of this ammonia molecule there as trigonal pyramidal there, and that of a hydrogen ion there. So, what happens is this lone pair here on the nitrogen atom actually gets into bonding with this hydrogen ion there, and what we get is a molecule which is a tetrahedral in shape there, and this nitrogen is having a charge on that, which actually is represented as something on the whole molecule like this. So, that is ammonium molecule, ammonium ion there. Ammonium ion also is tetrahedral structure. Let us go further and take up yet another example of sp3 hybridization, and we take the example of water molecule. In order to understand or describe the shape of water molecule, what we do is we start by talking about the electronic configuration of the central atom, which happens to be oxygen in this case. And the electronic configuration of oxygen is 1s2, 2s2 and 2p4, and that is how do we represent over there. Now, in this case what we find that there are two unpaired electrons and they can form two bonds. That is what we need. We know that in case of water molecule there are two OH bonds there. So, we find that these two unpaired electrons can combine with the 1s orbitals of hydrogen atoms to give the desired molecule there. But the expected bond angles would be 90 degrees, because these two orbitals there, say py and pz or any two of the p orbitals, they are mutually orthogonal, as we saw in the case of ammonia also. So, since they are mutually orthogonal, so we would expect that the bond angle happens to be 90 degrees, which we know is not true, because experimental value is 104 degrees. So, in order to explain that, what do we say? We say that these 2s and 2p orbitals, they undergo hybridization. That is, the s orbital here and the p orbitals here, they undergo hybridization, and as before we get 4 hybrid orbitals and they are given as sp3 hybrid orbitals there. And these, out of these 4 hybrid orbitals, we find that 2 of these hybrid orbitals contain lone pairs, while other 2 are singly occupied. So, we see that 2 are containing lone pairs there and 2 are singly occupied there. And when we try to put that in perspective, we find that these 2 hybrid orbitals which are singly occupied, they overlap with the s orbitals of hydrogen atom to give the water molecule, and the remaining hybrid orbitals contain the lone pairs. That is how do we show that there. That means we have got oxygen atom there. So, this is one bond formed, this is another bond by overlapping of sp3 orbital of oxygen and s orbital of hydrogen there, same over here. And these two sp3 orbitals are the ones which are occupied by lone pairs, and because of the difference in the repulsion between lone pairs and things like that, we find that the bond angle happens to be 104 degrees there. So, we find that by invoking sp3 hybridization, we could describe or explain the shapes of different kind of species there. We have talked about CH4, NH3, NH4 plus and water now. Let us go further and talk about the hybridization schemes which involve s, p and d orbitals, and then see that how do we use them to describe the shapes of different molecules there. Now, as regards the hybridizations involving s, p and d orbitals, we observe that when we come to the molecules found by elements of period 3 and beyond, we find that the molecular shapes, in addition to linear, trigonal and tetrahedral, are also observed, and for those to be explained, we need to involve d orbitals in the hybridization. And the possible hybridization schemes involving d orbitals are sp3d and sp3d2. Let us take these two schemes one by one. sp3d hybridization, a typical example happens to be PBr5, and to understand this, what we do is we start by talking about the electronic configuration of phosphorus atom, and that happens to be neon 3s2 3p3, and that's how do we represent that. Now, again what you find is that we need to form 5 bonds over there, PBr5, and we have got only 3 unpaired electrons there. That is only 3 unpaired electrons, so we expect only 3 bonds to be there. What we need to form 5 bonds there. So, we have to bring in promotion there. That is, this 3s electron here gets promoted to 3d orbital here. That is how do we represent that. That is, now we have got, with this kind of electronic configuration in the so called excited state, we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 unpaired electrons which then undergo, these orbitals then undergo hybridization. So, that means this is 1, 3p and 1d. So, these orbitals undergo hybridization to give rise to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sp3d hybrid orbitals, and they have got energy somewhere over here. And these hybrid orbitals are equivalent and have got shapes which are the orientation is such that they are oriented towards they give a shape of trigonal bipyramidal arrangement there, and these then overlap with the p orbitals of bromine to give the desired molecule there. So, this picture does not give you the orbital picture over there, it is just the overall shape of the molecule what we finally observe. This is phosphorus and these 5 are bromine atoms there, and we can imagine this to be your sp3d hybrid orbitals, and this happens to be the p orbital of bromine atom there. So, which is overlapping and getting you this molecule over there. Let us move further and talk about the second possible hybridization scheme involving sp and d orbitals, and that happens to be sp3 d2 hybridization, and typical example happens to be SF6. In this case, we start by talking about the electronic configuration of sulfur atom, and that is what it is. So, we represent it diagrammatically like this, and we find that there are only 2 unpaired electrons which are not sufficient to form the 6 required bonds over there. What do? We again bring in the promotion of electrons there. We find that one of these 3s electron and one of these 3p electrons, both of them get promoted to d orbital over there. So, by this kind of a promotion of 1 electron from here, 1 from here, we have got 6 unpaired electrons there, or 6 orbitals having an unpaired electron each. Since these 6 electrons belong to 3 different types of orbitals, this is S, these 3 are P, these 2 are D. So, if they form bonds, the bonds will be of different kind of shapes, different nature there, which actually they are not. So, we talk about, we again invoke the concept of hybridization there, and we suggest that these 6 orbitals which are having unpaired electron each, they undergo hybridization to give rise to 6 hybrid orbitals, and these each of them is called as sp3 d2 hybrid orbital there, and they are got equivalent there. These hybrid orbitals have got octahedral arrangement there, and these hybrid orbitals then overlap with the 2p orbitals of fluorine to give rise to the desired molecule SF6, which happens to have an octahedral shape there. So, this picture here does not show the orbitals involved in that, but it gives you the final overall shape of the molecule involved in this case. Now, let us sum up what we have done today. What we have done today is we started by briefly reviewing the contents of the previous session. Thereafter, we recalled the concept of hybridization as was introduced in the previous session. We discussed the molecular shapes arising out of hybridizations involving s and p orbitals, which primarily pertain to the elements of second period. Then thereafter, we discussed the molecular shapes arising out of hybridizations involving s, p and d orbitals there. Now, in the next session, we will now talk about yet another theory that is called as a molecular orbital theory, because this actually completes our discussion on valence bond theory. Valence bond theory gives a way of formation of bond, but we find that valence bond theory does explain bond formation in case of diatomic molecules, but it fails to give you ideas about the shapes of the molecule. So, to explain the shapes of molecules, we kind of introduced the concept of hybridization and saw that how can it be used for the purpose there. Now, we will move further and talk about the second quantum mechanical theory of chemical bonding, and that happens to be molecular orbital theory there, which we will be taking up in the next session. Thank you.